Hello and welcome to the This Calls for Confetti YouTube channel. I am Karen and today we're going to dive in and make a cute acetate front card. I'm going to be using Alice's Story Autumn's Memory Collection along with the A2 full front shaker pockets and the Sparkle Abstract stencil. So let's dive into making this card. We're going to start by ink blending a background. I am going to start by ink blending the lightest color first on about 2/3 of my front panel. This just gives me an idea of where my blended parts are going to go. I then go to my darkest color and I want to get that good and filled in. Now you will notice when you're looking at the front of this card that middle section is not 2/3. That is because we're going to need to blend this into each other. So we're going to have a center section that is on the white cardstock that will show the true color of our ink. And then it gets blended out over the light and the dark. I find that this works the best for me so that I get a good even coverage on my card fronts. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to take this card front and we are going to use the Abstract Sparkle stencil to add some paste to it. I am using a Lunar Paste product, but you could use any paste that you own and have. This one has some sparkle in it. So we're going to spread this all the way across our card front, filling in all of the little divots. And then we are going to lift our stencil off to get the pretty reveal of this sparkly background. Now, let's work on the stamping part. This is where I have the most fun. I am using archival ink in black as my background because I am going to ink blend through the Autumn Memories stencil. So here I'm just going to make sure that I have a good image. Many times I use a stamping platform so that I can stamp it a couple of times to make sure that that is a good, dark, crisp image on my background that I'm using. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stamp this a second time just to make sure that those lines are all good and solid. Since we're all good to go, now we're going to start stenciling with the Autumn Memories stencils. This stencil is really fun because it gives you a quick coloring method for your card. I am using some of the Simon Says Stamp inks that come in 3 colors per family, so you get a light, a medium, and a dark shade, and I am just going for it. I'm adding light first, then some medium as my shading, and then I'm going to come back with the dark. Now what I really have enjoyed with this stencil is the ability to work in sections. Using the smaller blending brush, I don't have to make the entire area in my stencil one color. I really can come in and make it two-toned like I did here with these pumpkins at the front part of the stencil. So we've got the orange pumpkins colored in, and then our next step is going to be to work on our stems. And the stems are in a different section of the same 6x6 stencil sheet. Super easy to do, just using some brown to add in a stencil, and then I'm going to add my little marks on my pumpkins in brown. These could have been one of the oranges and would have been fine, but I decided to use the brown to tie them in together. Next, we're moving on to green leaves, and here I'm going to use 2 different tones of greens to get all of my leaves done. This just helps add some dimension, even though stenciling is kind of considered a flat medium. It really gives us this ability to build up some color and some shading, some light and dark areas. And so this is a tip that I have for you with these stencils, is to think about the places where you might be able to mix some colors of inks, like in the flowers or in the leaves as I'm doing here. I am using a flat tipped brush because these openings are so small. These are new in my studio and I'm really loving them. So here we're going to add the flowers, and this is another place that I am using that kind of idea of some of the stencil not being used completely and some of it being colored in. So using these smaller brushes to be able to blend with really has helped me be able to get in and out of tight spaces and add shading. So in my flowers, you have a lot of differentiation. So we're going to need to die cut some things. We're going to need to die cut our image that we colored. We're going to need to die cut 2 more pieces. And this is where the magic happens. On that A2 front shaker pocket, you're going to cut off 3 sides. Doesn't really matter. The side that you're leaving is going to be your hinge. Now, the corners that you've cut are a little bit sharp. I like to corner round them. You could also hit them maybe with a fingernail file just to take the roughest edge off. We're going to make sure that this has a really hard crease in it because this is going to fold around behind our project. Next step is going to be to glue our colored image to the front of the card. This is going to look like it's floating over our background. And don't worry about the adhesive. I'm getting ready to show you a trick that will have you so incredibly happy. Are you guys ready? Here it is. So on the back side, you can see my adhesive, and that is not cute at all. So I have taken a second die cut, and we're going to adhere it to the front. So I am actually putting glue on the side that matches where we had stamped. Next, we're going to want to make the pieces that go into making our cards. So we want a flat back because the acetate is going to be our fold. So I have cut the black piece as an A2 size card, and then I have cut the background that we made just a 1/16 of an inch smaller. This is where we adhere our adhesive. I might, if I were to do this again, add a little liquid adhesive. The adhesive on these flaps are really strong, but this is where the card is going to take its most wear and tear as we work with this and we open and close it. So I wanted to have a space inside my card for my greeting or my message. So I had die cut a third of a piece of white cardstock that matched what we had colored. And that got glued to the inside. And now we're going to add our whole card to this black card base. Just centering it up inside our panel. And I'm going to put this heavy block that you've seen me using. This is what I use to weight things down so that they are stuck together. So here is what the finished card looks like before we add our greeting. We're going to come in and add the word thankful, and then we're going to also stamp for you. We're going to die cut these out here in just a second, and we're going to make what I call faker thickers. So they are going to get layered up, and I'll show you how we do this. So let's grab the right dies that we need to do this, and let's head over to the die cut machine and get them cut. So here you see that we have cut out thankful where we stamped it, and then we've also cut it out in just the white paper. This is where we make our fake thicker. We're going to take this. I like to use tweezers because I have big fingers, and when I'm doing something like this, they just get in the way. And this allows me to be able to get in and make sure everything is lined up. So here we have 2 layers of cardstock. We're going to add a third layer. Again, the purpose of this is to make this thick like a 3-dimensional sticker. So now we have 3 pieces of paper stuck together, and now we're going to add that stamped layer to the top. This one is the one that you have stamped and then die cut. So that just gives us this really nice thick element to go on the front, but it's not so thick that it's going to mess with having things mailed. Now, because this is white and my card has a lot of browns on it, I decided to pull out a little Scorched Timber Distressed ink and kind of ink up the edges of the For You. I thought that that would add a little bit of interest when we add this to the front of our card. So adding glue, I was very careful not to get glue on the T in the word thankful because that overhangs where we have hidden all of our glue before. So we're going to add For You down here right above the pumpkin. You can see how that brown helps to have that stand out. So here is the one we made together, and this is the one that I created to use as inspiration. Thank you so much for being with me today as we created this card. Until we're together in the next video. Bye-bye.